To game 3 between Michael and Mighty. Upper right-hand corner, we have Michael as the pink Protoss. Bottom left-hand corner, we have Mighty as the red Terran. This is going to be on Eclipse. And I'm almost wondering if Mighty is going to go for another timing push that is of different variety. Simply because Michael did such an efficient job of crushing that level 2, the 11 minute, I don't know what to call that push. I'm sure there's a name for it. I'll call it the 12-minute-ish push. The 12-minute-ish push. The Terran upgrade push. He did such a good job of crushing it that I think that's what provoked that 2-factory build last round. Michael now realizing, okay, 1 gate into expand in the dark is a dangerous build against Mighty, might have trouble being in the same position against it this round. And Mighty is once again building this supply depot on his front door, which suggests he's going to try to have everything in place to again put his opponent in the dark. And I think this sort of thing was where the 1-gate pressure play with Proxy ended up coming into being maybe a little bit. So I'm almost, I don't know. I would have to talk to a more skilled player on the ladder to find out. And also what the weaknesses and strength of that particular build were. When I initially saw it, I was like, man, this has got to be... This can't be good, right? Anyway. Gateway, Probe Scout to follow. Let's see if Mighty does that. Nope, he's getting a simulator down, or sorry, a refinery down. Checking the corners to make sure he is not getting cheesed, but I think he might be able to get that supply depot in place before this probe gets in position, but it is going to be close. And this is actually going to be a critical part of this game. So yeah, pulling off, gets the supply depot down just as that probe is entering in. Now here's a critical thing for... I'm doing a bit of harassment here. I like the probe trying to do damage on the front. I feel like the probes are like the... In the entire StarCraft universe, they're like the little guy. They're like the minions, like from not minions in chat, minions from like Despicable Me, where they're feisty, right? And they're like little, but they're like, yeah, gonna do the fighting or whatnot. This is gonna be the big piece for Michael, is making sure he's got some sort of eyes on this barracks, so we can see what he's up against. Factory being plopped down, but we do see that SCV is only a single SCV on gas. Lucky Noob declaring that probes are the devil in chat. Probably for both players, because sometimes they're not all that obedient, right? As far as... Missed the SCV kill out on the front. Another 1 gate into expand for Michael. Oh, is that probe going to be able to sneak in? Good blockade. Oh, was in the fight. So ends up getting taken out. Zealots making its way forward. 2 Zealots actually making their way forward. And I'm almost wondering if with some shuffling, if those Zealots can actually take down something on this front door. Or at least provide enough pressure where it'll give Mighty something to think about. He's putting down the machine shop. I think he's going to go for, again, all indicators are he's going for that factory siege tank into expand build. Kind of the safe interior build. Michael already has actually producing 3 Zealots. Cybernetics core warping. And another probe making its way down. Yeah, the Zealots pushing at that front. They do have eyes on whether that barracks is lighting up or not. Did a little bit of damage on that front supply depot. And there's that command center being built through the UI. It's kind of I almost gotta... Can I center that a little bit? There. Whoa. Yeah, being built to be floated over to the corner. And Michael, ooh, this is cute. While Mighty is boxed in, he's putting a pylon to this bottom right-hand corner, which definitely suggests we're going to see some sort of DT drop, proxy tech. Citadel of Adun warping in. It is about halfway finished. And Mighty is so worried about scouts sneaking into his base or anything getting detected right here that he might not be prepared to deal with a sneaky drop. Siege tech about a quarter finished. Siege tank is there to deal with it. The command center might even float out ahead of time. First Dragoon being produced. So I think this is going to be a handful of Zealots Actually, no, this is just... I think this might be... Oops, not what I wanted to do there. Templar Archives warping in, but this is actually going to be a lot of units. So Michael going for a timing of his own. He's got 3 Zealots of Dragoon, 2 more gateways warping in. So he's basically at 3 gateways. Templar Archives about halfway finished. And this is just going to be 2 siege tanks with siege tech to try to defend this natural expansion. And they are going to be... They're going to be sitting here, and there's no anti-air. Very little anti-air. I actually feel like this is a brilliant build from Michael. Knowing that Mighty tends to be a little bit more light, he doesn't go for a lot of Marines to start. Genius, I feel like, adjustment. I say that actually, and I'm talking about like shuttle drops here, but there's no robotics facility. I think it's just going to be straight on the ground. So never mind. Ignore me as far as the shuttle portion. DTs, invisible men being produced. It's going to come down to the ComSats. Probe wandering up, sees the engineering bay being built. ComSat Station 1 is up. So we do have Dark Templar out. I was hoping to see a DT drop, is what I was hoping for. 4th gateway plopping down. But instead, it's going to be Dark Templar and Zealots, and they actually might want to separate. There was 1 ComSat, which means there's only 1 additional ComSat to provide support. That's 4 siege tanks. Yeah, the Zealot needs to get separation because he's actually damaging his invisible friend here. Turret is being built. 1 more ComSat should be in the bank, yeah. But siege tanks actually working against themselves. More DTs in the wings to push forward. They've got to hurry up before this turret finishes. And the Dragoon, again, drawing splash damage to these Dark Templars. So Michael, very uncharacteristically, botching his own micro a little bit, and that's oof. If he had just had a bit of separation there with those units, I think he would have still been able to dive in and make that work. Engineering bay floating above the turret to make it a little bit harder to target. Oh, Michael. Natural expansion is up for him. He still might be able to take a 3rd, but now Mighty a little bit delayed on getting his additional factories down, so that might make that timing push a little bit rougher to execute. Honestly, I'm wondering if the way he's floating minerals, I'm not sure if he's floating minerals because he's distracted. He's supply capped is one reason. But I'm almost wondering if he is opting to maybe even play a little bit more passive and go for a lightly defended 3rd. Critically, though, because of this supply cap at 44 supply, Michael is, with his macro, despite having a little bit of problems, Mighty's behind overall by about 20 supply. And because now just finally plopping down a whole bunch of factories, actually about halfway finished, so not finally, a couple minutes ago, on the float. But this is usually when you wanted to be producing additional siege tanks, things like that, in preparation for kind of the follow-ups. Level 1 weapons just about finished. Actually, I think this SCV is trapped in this corner as well. I'm not positive because of the UI overall. And I'm not going to fiddle with the UI otherwise. Archon, interesting. At that corner, Michael's setting up to go ahead and take his 3rd. A couple vultures, and a lot of vultures being produced. Here's the thing, Michael, ooh, a lot of gateways. So what is this? He's going this is Gateway Man right here. And he's actually in a position to execute Gateway Man. Because this is 8, 9, 11 gateways overall. Those are obviously a bit exposed. Archons and Zealots on the front with a 1 DT lagging around. This should be enough to punch that. And honestly, it makes vultures, once they have speed, a little bit more dangerous. The DT just on hold position, like acting like an observer, seeing all of this move out. And Michael starting to push out that level 1 weapons. I think this is more to secure a 3rd. Able to kill that Dark Templar. I don't think that maybe this is a... He's got an 2 SCVs there, actually. So maybe this is actually a push attack. Unfortunately, for him, if Michael can just continue with his macro, he might be in a lot of trouble. Although, critically, usually when you have this sort of push attack, it's Dragoons, not Zealots and Archons running in. You can see how the Archons, against all of this, just melt very rapidly. Kind of confused by the decision to make Archons. honestly, rather than keep those High Templar with Storm to follow. Archon sacrificing himself on the front gets one Vulture kill. Might get a second. Yeah, wiped out otherwise. A lot of Zealots on the ground. Maybe as a bust, the Archons would be interesting. I'm not sure. Zealots able to get on top of these Siege Tanks on the front. And Mighty actually losing all of this attack force as a result. And this is, again, with him not taking a third. So Michael, wow, despite army composition, clears out absolutely everything here. He does have level 1 weapons as well. More Vultures meandering out. They are not speed upgraded, though. Plus, there's a pylon wall to defend Michael's third. Now Mighty's in a bit of trouble. He's behind in supply. He lost his army that would have helped him secure a third. His Vultures are not speed upgraded, which is going to make them a little bit less useful. He's expended, it looks like he does have some comsat, but a DT once again sneaking into that natural. Provoking, I think that turret doesn't quite have range, or maybe there's just not units there to hit this DT. Already has 3 kills. DT feasting here in the natural expansion. I don't know if Mighty realizes that's happening. Okay, now he does. Finally getting units down there to deal with this Dark Templar, but not before it did a decent amount of damage there. Mighty plopping down a command center, but here's the thing. With this sheer amount of gateways, these High Templar are very exposed. With this amount, and actually, maybe this was why, because Dragoon range was not upgraded until just now. Interesting. Robotics facility plopping down as well, but Michael can produce a very large army very, very rapidly here. Vulture's now speed upgraded, starting to move across. The Vultures, actually with... I mean, it's a little bit harder to micro them against Speed Zealots. But they can still kind of sneak through, and actually catching this timing perfectly as the probes are being transferred to the third. Mines catching a handful of probes there. And High Templar critically getting picked off. The natural expansion's breached, a cannon was there, and Vultures getting all the way up into the main. Big win for Michael. Probe count plummeting, plus he's getting all sorts of mines on top of those gateways, which is delaying this even further because that was just Zealots. And Michael's, I don't even know that he is mining right now. Right when he needed some Dragoons or something to try to clean this up. Doesn't have the resources grouped to flood it out. And yeah, this is Zealots just headline trying to dive in, and no observers overhead to try to deal with this. Does have these Vultures pinned in a bit in a corner, but they're squirrely and able to get back across. And while all of this harass is happening, that means Michael is dealing with, I like the Dragoon blockade. Finally, another round of Dragoons being produced should be able to clean that up. But Michael's main wasn't mining in the interim. These mines are here to provide a bit of scouting. This natural expansion is still a bit exposed for the additional Vultures moving up. And while all that's happening, while all that army is distracted, he can go ahead and take that 9 o'clock base. Michael finally repositioning, getting a decent, because he has map control, laying some of those mines to provide him some of that critical vision. And also make things a little bit harder on Michael. Ooh, Dragoon, speaking of which. Losing some critical Dragoons, and actually has those Zealots plumped up, and Mighty diving in to the 12 o'clock location with a beautiful siege. Wow, look at this. Look at that line to engage anything coming across. That is textbook. And I think this Nexus is going to just get wrecked as a result. More Dragoons now being produced, a couple more Zealots, but I don't think it's going to be in time to save this Nexus, which is going to put Michael back down at 2 bases, where Mighty is, although he's not well saturated at his main, is still going to be mining off 3, effectively. Needs to get a move on, though. Still is attacking from the low ground. Another grouping of Dragoons and Zealots trying to move up. Like I said, Gateway Man works when you're in a superior economic position. Michael no longer has that superior economic position. And with that Vulture harass, really pushed that. So Michael, despite... he had a lot of opportunities to win this. And honestly... oof, I thought he was going to win this match regardless of anything, but ends up GGing right here instead upon losing his 3rd Nexus. Nice recovery from Mighty. Kind of a little bit of blunders back and forth. I do wish, yeah, Lucky New making the comment I wanted to make in chat, I do wish he had Storm. Because I feel like if there was Storm in that mid-game position, instead of those Archons, this might have been a completely different game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll move on to, what are we at? Game 4? Mighty's up 2-1 over Michael. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.